It's on this kasape. The topic seems to be Breishit bara. So here you have Breishit, you have 6 letters. I'm not sure exactly what he wants to say about it or how deep we want to go into this because I see there's some kind of a pirush on the bottom also. So let's just read what he says. And what was our question? I don't remember. Rebbe Bira Meshulav, he said his boyer comes. So there's something called the Bira Meshulav. I'm not sure because he quotes it down here too. She's bar become al pi hashar mamavi rashbi. So this is going according to my Mari Rashbi. Let me make sure I got this in my camera. V'od mefarshim. He says v'ata na'atik levaneda b'pirush sefer ha'derushim l'charizal. Now I'm not familiar with this sefer. He says that the Rizal, this is a sefer of the Rizal, Avuva b'sefer hadris melech. So I don't know that sefer either. Shabir kan bezel l'shon. Now he's going to say like this: Halevushim shal keser hu or choser. Now this has something to do with what we're learning over here. Just let me stop this just for 1 second. I'm really sorry about this, but what I wanted to do was I wanted to find where we were so I could quote. I don't know how to find it now. Let me take one more chance. What is the quote of the Rav of Rebbe Shimon rather? What page is that on? Amar Naki. It's on page Kuf Tes Vav. Inan. The whole thing that he said was Inun Amar Naki. So we're trying to understand. Amar Naki is the concept of or choser. Yeah. And it has to go through the Avira. It has to go through let's see. I don't know. He mentioned it. It has to go through the Avira and then out. It has to do with the Beitzim of Atik Yomim in some way, which had to do with the Udnim. All of those are the facts that we've had here. And also he seem to have been talking about the concept of the Birurim in general, or Dinim, because they're going from the bottom to the top. Something like that. These are my impressions of what we were at. Inun Amenake. And like I told you, I saw over there in the Avor that this really has a big impact on the flow of the juices that need to come down into the world. This whole area of producing these hairs. So now that's a little background that I have that I can say again. So now we're on the bottom of the line. He says, this is the language. He says, Halevushim. I'm back over here on Tav Kuf Tez Zayin. He said, Halevushim shal kaser. So the clothing of the kaser or choser. So that goes on some of that idea there is that it's a light because the Berurim themselves are or choser. Besod, and then it means like this, Muchas Timor, V'kruma Devira, and then there's the Avira. That's what it is, the Muchas Timor. So this is where it has to go, Hu or Choser, which is a concept of going from the Muchas Timor to the Kruma Devira, V'heim Vav Levushim. So it comes out, I'm not sure what he says, they're Vav Levushim here, Vav Keser, Gogalta, Choshevi, and the Keser, the Gogalta, is the 7th one. So he's okay. I'm on. Thank you very much. I'm on page Taf Kuf Yud Zayin.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I went way back over there. Let me start over again. It's not so easy for me. So we have to really kind of get through it to see where he's trying to go with this. If we're down at the bottom of the second column on page Taf Kuf Tes Zayin, and right now it says V'zel Shono. This is what he says. This is his language. This is what he says. He says, Halevushim shal keser, the levushim that cover keser, who or choser is an or choser, and this or choser is the concept like mochas timor and kruma devira. So it has to do with this. The heim vav levushim. He says between the I think he's saying between the mochas timor and the kruma devira there are 6 levushim there. But Hakesed will go, huh?
Are you sure in the right place? Doesn't seem to relate to what we're learning.
Yeah, this is the right place.
So where do they?
It has to do with this or choser concept. Do you want to go back to where we were?
I just want to see this quoted?
Oh, it was at the very end of the piece yesterday. It was the last line. So I'm a little bit lost because I don't. Let's see. Is this helping me?
Yep. You see it. Okay. Fine. Thank you.
Oh, you do see it.
Yeah, I see it now. Okay.
Okay, now let's start over again. Okay. For some reason, this has something to do with Breishit bara, which is a subject of its own, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so for some reason, some of the concept that we were dealing with here, which is this orchozer, which I was trying to describe. That's where I'm at, trying to understand what's going on, because the Buruim are an orchozer, which is a lashon din. So basically, that's something that we're looking into right now. So he said, if you look at the second column on that ends at Tes Zion, the page Tafkuf Tes Zion, it says Zel Lashona. So now we're going to quote over here the Maimon Rashbi. I'll start from the beginning since you're just picking it up now. He says, Rei Bebir HaMeshulav. Now, is that a phrase that is common in Torah language, Bir HaMeshulav, or is that the name of a sefer?
On the top of the page, the commentary, the elucidation that's together with the text. They the simple like what the Rahut is, what you call the Bir Rahut in the other part.
Okay. All right. So this Bir HaMeshulav is Boirakan Al Pi Hashar Maimari Rashbi, which is really, they're bringing it over here to explain over here according to the Maimari Rashbi to try to understand this. And it's true that the topic here was called Bir Sefer Hadroshim. So there's a sefer called Sefer Hadroshim, Vod Mefarshim, and then there's other Mefarshim. He said, the venenu b'pirush Sefer Hadroshim. So now we're going to bring this a pirush that's coming for the Sefer Hadroshim of the Orizal, which like I say, I don't know. I'm not familiar with the name of this sefer. Hamuba v'Sefer Hadras Melech. So it's in that sefer which I don't have either. Shabir Khan V'zel Lashona. So now explains what we're talking about. He says Levushim shal Keter, because we're dealing here with the fourth tikkun, right? That's the one that goes upwards. Who or chozer. So he says he's the Levushim of Keter are an or chozer, and the secret of this or chozer, he says, is the mochas dima. It's like it's going from the bottom, which is the mochas dima, but kruma da avira, v'hem vav levushim. I'm not sure what that means. I think it means that they're number 5 and 6, but that's just a guess. But they're vav levushim. There's 6 levushim there. But keser gulgalta, and the keser which is on top of them is the 7th. Now this has to be counting from the bottom to the top. That's what I was thinking. Okay, v'zesha amach barashis, and let's take the word barashis 6. V'reishis alai barashis, v'reishis alai hu shavi, and then Breishit is on top of them. It's the 7th one. Now this is very mysterious language. Then he says v'thekruma de havira hu teferis nikra vav gedayla. So he says that you want to get into where this vav comes from. 1 second, let me attach my little microphone. So he says nikra vav gedayla. So it's called teferis is a vav. V'zo havav kol b'socho beis vavim shehem natzach and hod. So this vav that is teferis, one of them are 2 legs, which are long pieces. Which, let's say, that's how he makes them into natzach and hod. So, in other words, the vav itself, 2 of the characters in the vav are netzachot. V'heim also beis tikunim, and they make 2 tikunim. They made 2 tikunim. Echad begugolta b'soda levushim. One is that they work. They work also beis tikunim. Echad begugolta b'soda levushim. That one is that they work as a levush for the gugolta. The echad b'mochas dima, and the other one is the mochas dima b'sod adikna, which is the secret of the dikna. V'hal levushim shal keser heim or chozer. This is where he comes back to that line. Is the levushim of the keser is the or chozer. V'zeh she'amar, and this is the meaning of this phrase. Kan kulhu l'sata. All of them are down below. B'mochas dima, in the mochas dima b'sod adikna, in the secret of the dikna. V'talia b'zayin the gugolta. They hang down from the 7 that are in the Gogolta, which is somehow, that's the transfer to the beard. V'zecher she'amar Yakiru Dikirusa. This is what it means, this phrase, Yakiru Dikirusa, the most precious or the most desired of all desires. And he says, what are they? Vehem Zayin, which must refer to the Zayin Tikkunim of the Rosh of Eric Anpin. Are you up for reading it a second time?
Sure.
Okay, so they just try to figure out what, obviously there's been some water under the bridge before we pick it up here. So, in his language of how there's a little bit brief in their language. Let's go to where it says V'zelashona, because now we're saying that this is the Maimari Rashbi, according to the Maimari Rashbi, the way that we presented it. So this is the Sifra D'tzniuta, the Ali Arizal, and this is the way that we understand it. He said Levushim shall Keter. Now, first of all, what Levushim is he talking about of Keter? What does he mean by that? Okay, so I don't know. There is a little base on this. If you want to look at it, I haven't looked at it. So you want to look at this base? It says it never the forest the ale. So it looks like it's explained up above. Levushim dikar hainu zani dekuti gold. So when he says Levushim dikar, we're going to get to that phrase. We saw that. It's referring. That's the levush. He says that's the levush of the Keter. Okay, I'm thinking, why would you think it is a levush? So I'm thinking it's a levush because they malvish the light, and they squeeze it down a little bit. Something like that. That's a levush. So levush in the ikar hainu zayin tikunik galta, commotion is bar sham bebir hamush amishulav, b'shem sharmar mari rashbi. So apparently there's an explanation, unless I'm not making good here Okay, let me say the ikon behind the zayin tikunik galta, commotion is bar b'shach bebir hamishulav, b'shem the sharmar mari rashbi. Ein Sham, Amnam, the Breishit, the Gesufa, the Kol Kesufim. So where is this point that all of us hunger for? That's why the less language I'm going to use. The Gesufa, the desire of desires that everyone wants. Who Keter, that's the Keter. Apparently there's a sefer called Nov L'Chochma. So he talked about that previously. Ein Sham. The Log Sharmai Mabi Rashbi. This is a different way of looking at it, because the Sharmai and the Sharmai Rashbi should be the Breishit, the Gesufi, the Kol Kesufim. That Breishit that has that name attached to it, that name is a Hainu Reisha the Lo Isya the Ein Sham. So you have to picture in your mind how you're going up to, which point do you want to say it. But you could also say, like he said in other places, that the Reisha Lo Isya is actually inside of everything. So therefore, if you say that you're going to the, what did he say that it was? It was the Rusha, who the Keter is the Keter of Eric Anpin. If he came Nimsiki Masha Amba Sifra D'tzniuta, so therefore, whatever it is, whatever they say over here, the Keter, the Reisha, the Gesufa, the Kol Kesufim, the Levushim, the Ikar Iskri. So whatever the Reisha, the Gesufa, the Kol Kesufim is, it's also called Levushim, the Ikar Iskin. Levushim, the Ikar Iskin. So he says, so in other words, I think they go together. Because that the Keter itself. Now talking about, I guess he's talking about the Gugolta is the highest part. Tikkun Levushim, it's set in force, or it put in place, Levushim. Shem Shar Shisha Tikkun Gugolta, which is all the other 6 Tikkunim of the Gugolta. So let me read that part again. It seems like it's important. Up at the top it says, Ki Masha Amba Sifra D'tzniuta the Ale. The Reisha, the Gesufa, the Kol Kesufim, the Levushim, the Ikar is king. Now I translated it not so great, so because I wanted him to say something else after Dikar, but he didn't. He says he says La'el, the Reisha, the Gesufa, the Gesufim, the Levushim, so the Levushim, the Ikar is king. It sets up Levushim, the Ikar. Hagavon shechal kaser shuhu tikun the rishon. The kaser is actually the first tikun. That is the first place where there's a limitation of light. Shuhu tikun the rishon gulgalta tikun levushim. And the gulgalta either is a tikun for the levushim or it's misakin the levushim. Not sure, but at any rate, it's the beginning of the levushim. Shehem shar shisha tikun the gulgalta, which is the other 6. V'zeh shabir b'sifra D'tzniuta kan. The shisha tikuni gegalta heim levushim shal kaser. They actually become levushim to the kaser. Okay, they're all levushim. Question is what is my question was what is kaser then? Kaser sounds like it's just an or. And these are the levushim for that or.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, do you want to see any more of this?
It seems to be really not on our subject.
No, it's a subject of its own. It's going to go, but it does deal with the concept of what's going on in the Gugolta.
Right.
Because what he wants to say is that in some way, Breishit represents the 6.
Mm-hmm.
And that is adjacent to our subject, potentially.
Right. If you want, it's fine. It just seems it's really on later on.
I'll go whatever you like. I like to read it. This was like just opened up some other different avenues. So let's just review what he said. It seems to me... Huh?
Yeah, it's fine. Either way is fine. You can read it. It's good.
Okay, now I was just going to speak it out, just this little bit. And then we could set up to go back and start doing it again. Now, I think he has some other places where he could take you to. See, look at number bet on this page, right?
Yeah.
So this is another beer, possibly to the same subject. I'm not sure. And then that's number bet. And then he has somewhere out here, he has a number Gimel, which is the Pirush HaTalmud. Bira Ayafa Shah. Bira Tevis Breishit. So all this is on the word Breishit. So Barashis, right? That's the 6. He says that what you got here is that Breishit somehow is Barashis. Maybe the 2 words together, saying it twice, because I saw something like that in here. Is the 6 is the 6 tikkunim of the Gugolta. And that's our subject.
Yeah.
See,
right.
that's what I think some of this is about. How about this? We read one more paragraph.
All
right, because we have like 2 minutes. So he says, "Bavur kan ki hosif bir b'milas alayhu." Now, where is this word Breishit alayhu? That's where I saw this. So he's a be'inyan barashis Breishit alayhu. So this concept barashis is that Breishit on top of them. V'hu the Breishit hu gulgalta. That's the gulgalta. Shuhu shivi milamanta lamala. If you're counting from down below to go to up above. Gulgalta kaser hu. Alayhu. It's on top of it. Now wait a minute. Let me see this again. It's a Breishit gulgalta shuhu shivi milamanta lamala. It's the 7th one if you look at it from the bottom to the top. Gulgalta b'kaser. There's the gulta which is the kaser hu. Alayhu shel shar shisha tikunim. It's up above, or I don't know if that's up above or panimi to, all the rest of the 6. He called the shisha tikunim heim levushim shel kaser shu hagugolta. So we want to say this is his language. That the kaser. What does kaser mean? That was my question before. Kaser means the gugolta, and then everything else is a tikkun that's associated with that. So he says heim levushim shel hakaser shehem hagugolta. There are different levushim that also surrounds it. Because when I'm thinking of this, and as soon as he says Gugolta, I think of the skull of a human.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't seem to be that that's really going to be too accurate here. He says because of the tikkunim, the first one is the skull, and then the rest of it, which are actually on the face and around, like the eyes and the nose and so on and so forth. All right, anyway, called Shisha Tikkunim Heim Levushim Shalakaser Shuhagugolta, so there's a levushim around them. It sounds more circular. So or choser, which is or choser, the keser hu alayhu, but the keser's on top of them. Okay, that's where we'll stop today.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for learning with me today. I'll make a mark on that. We'll just look a little bit more on this.
Okay.
Okay, call to.